He's the one who made us, and it is He who made us and not we ourselves. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows His handiwork. No means of measure can define His limitless love, and no far-seeing telescope can bring into visibility the coastline of His shoreless supply. I'm telling you today, you can trust Him. No barrier can hinder Him from pouring out His blessing. He's enduringly strong and He's entirely sincere. He's eternally steadfast and He's immortally graceful. He's imperially powerful and He's impartially merciful. He's the greatest phenomenon that's ever crossed the horizon of this world. He's God's Son. He's the sinner's Savior. He's the centerpiece of salvation. I'm telling you, church, you can trust Him. He does not have to call for help, and you can't confuse Him. He doesn't need you, and He doesn't need me. He stands alone in the solitude of Himself. He's august, and He's unique, and He's unparalleled. He's unprecedented. He's supreme. He's preeminent. He's the loftiest idea in literature. He's the highest personality in philosophy. He's the supreme problem of higher criticism. He's the fundamental doctrine of true theology. He's the cardinal necessity of spiritual religion. He's the miracle of the age. He's the superlative of everything good that you can call Him. I'm trying to tell you something. You can trust Him. He can satisfy all your needs, and He can do it simultaneously. He supplies strength for the weak, and He's available for the tempted and the tried. He sympathizes and He sees. He guards and He guides. He heals the sick. He cleanses the leper. He forgives the sinner. He discharges the debtor. He delivers the captive. He defends the feeble. He blesses the young. He regards the aged. He rewards the diligent. He beautifies the meek. I'm trying to tell you, church, you can trust Him. He's the key to knowledge. He's the wellspring to wisdom. He's the doorway of deliverance. He's the pathway of peace. He's the roadway of righteousness. He's the highway of holiness. He's the gateway to glory. You can trust Him. He's the master of the mighty. He's the captain of the conquerors. He's the head of the heroes. He's the leader of the legislature. He's the overseer of the overcomers. He's the governor of the governors. He's the prince of princes. He's the king of kings. He's the Lord of lords. You can trust Him. His office is manifold. His promise is sure. His life is matchless. His goodness is limitless. His mercy is everlasting. His love never changes. His word is enough. His grace is sufficient. His reign is righteous. His yoke is easy. His burden is light. I wish I could describe Him to you. He's indescribable because He's incomprehensible. He's irresistible because He's invincible. You can't get Him in your hands. You can't get Him off your mind. You can't outlive Him, and you can't live without Him. Pilate couldn't stand Him when he found out. He couldn't stop Him, and Pilate couldn't find any fault in Him. The witnesses couldn't get their testimonies to agree, and Herod couldn't kill Him, and death couldn't handle Him, and thank God the grave couldn't hold Him. There was nobody before Him. There'll be nobody after Him. He has no predecessor. He has no successor. You can't impeach Him, and He's not going to resign. You can trust Him. You can trust Him. You can trust Him. You can trust Him. He's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. He's all things. He's the giver of life. He's the joy out of every sorrow. He's the light out of every darkness. He's the Prince of Peace, and peace that passes all understanding. He's the giver of every good and perfect gift. You can trust Him. You can trust Him. You can trust Him. You can trust Him. You can trust Him.